Hey dailies, I thought let me just jump on here quickly to share with you a little bit about my journey. How did a South African guy come into the Canadian Navy? Now, in order for me to share this with you, I need you to go back with me back to South Africa. So, I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa, Kensington. All those in Kensington, a big shout out to Ken Fack. Memories in Kensington. So I was in Kensington from 0 to 24 years old. And when I reached 24, I then went over to Canada. And when I immigrated over to Canada, I, of course, got my permanent residence, and then I got my citizenship. And then when I got my citizenship, that's when I was able to join the Canadian Navy. You see how that worked? So it wasn't a case of, because people always think, Randall, how is a South African in the Canadian Navy? I'm like, nah, there was steps in between, right? So that's how it transpired. Became a citizen, and then thereafter joined the Navy. Now the video's over, all right? However, listen, let me take you, and if you were a true daily, you will stay for this piece. I want to take you back to my time in South Africa from 0 to 24. Growing up, so my dad's a pastor, right? So that being said, we were in church on Sundays religiously. In the week too, because when I was a kid, I used to always enjoy music because music was always playing at home. Because we had a hi-fi system, we played CDs and cassette tapes. And my dad used to always play, of course, Christian music. My brother too played Christian music. And a lot of choirs was played on the system, like your Hezekiah Walker Mass Choir, Toronto Mass Choirs, a lot of choirs. And of course, the church had a choir too. But I remember my first introduction to music. It was actually by listening to the radio. So we had a black radio at home. We probably still do. This was probably 20 years ago, a black radio and a silver radio. And at night times, I used to have the radio in my room. And I used to listen to Metro FM. Specifically, I remember listening to Metro FM as a teen, listening to the show that is, after 10, Thibaut Touch. He used to play songs of Peabo Bryson, Anita Baker, all those legends, old school legends. And I fell in love with music. And at that time, whenever they play your soulful music, like Brian McKnight's Boys to Men's, all those different music, and I used to enjoy listening to that, and that was a part of my life where I also really enjoyed romantic, like the romance. It really, and it's me dating myself. I'm 36 right now. It really made you fall in love with that old school love. You know what I'm talking about? That old school love where you're thinking about that person. But I digress. I digress, Papa. That's where I fell in love with music and also the art of radio. Because that was the point where I decided, you know what, one day I'd love to be on the radio, right? But this brings me to the mass choir conversation. Played the mass choir, listening to mass choir, and I fell in love with playing the drums because there was a song by Hezekiah Walker that was entitled Jesus Is My Help. And that song had a beat in there, and it went something like this. Not sure if you can hear that through the mic, But ba 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 da, ba da ba da, ba ba. You get the idea, right? So that was, and I thought, you know what? I don't have a drum set at home. Let me grab my mom's Ree Coffee tins. If you're in South Africa, you know Ree Coffee is a big coffee brand. 2 Ree Coffee tins as my toms, a pair of scissors as my hi-hats, and some other nonsense that I found as my snare. And I used to rock out, and I used to perfect the drums on the Ree Coffee tins and the scissors, to the point, and this is speaking so much to visualization and practicing and rehearsing in your head. I practiced it so much to the point of where I knew with every fiber in my being, I knew that if I got onto the drums right now, I can play it exactly because my hand was going boom, boom, boom. My foot was going pow, pow, pow. And lo and behold, it didn't take me long at all to be proficient at the drums because I mastered the craft of the Ree Coffee tins and the pair of scissors. So this leads me to the point of started in the church playing drums, then went over to playing the bass guitar. So my brother, he played the bass, right? And whenever he was tutoring individuals at our home, he would be downstairs, I would be upstairs, and I would sit on the staircase and I would listen to, okay, G, this is E, boom, boom, boom. Okay, this is how you do it. And of course, he also showed me a few things. And so I started playing the bass guitar. And then, of course, from there, went over to the piano and played a little guitar too. It's not common back home in Cape Town for people to be multi-skilled, especially in the church environment. So that's how it all started. And then, of course, went to university. At 24, that's when I decided, you know what? I want to move over. I always said in my mind that I knew there was something more in store. Always that there was something more. It's funny because when I was at home, I used to make a joke to my friends, and I think I told my sister-in-law too at the time. I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna be with an international woman. Lo and behold, I'm overseas right now, and yeah. Daar's niks soos 'n Kaapse vrou nie. Okay, ek sê dit maar nou in Afrikaans, want ons wil nou 'n bietjie nou, you know, deur die cracks nou val nou. But you know what I mean? But anyway, that's besides the point. So that's how I became a Canadian, joined in the Canadian Navy. So what do I do in the Canadian Navy? Well, I'm what they call a sonar tech. We essentially look for enemies underwater. Now, this might sound more fancy than it is. However, we are essentially in the ship, in the technical room of the ship, and we use, you know, radars and different types of equipment to be able to scan underwater and see, okay, boom, boom, send out a signal, boom, boom, anything comes back, okay, boom, we're fine. What is this here? What is that here? Just so that we can keep the whole ship safe and also not blowing up innocent ships, but also innocent wildlife underwater, you know. So that's more or less it. I just wanted to come on here very quickly just to share with you this part of my life. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want you to get to know me as Randall Mitchell, me as the person. Of course, I'm the face of Driven Daily. But I want you to get to know me as you know, where I come from and where I am right now. Speaking about where I am right now, I've got about a year and a half left within the Navy. March 2025 is when I'm done. And then thereafter, I will go full force into brand development, into the business. which technically I'm doing full force right now on the side as well. On the side, but I'm treating it like it's my baby, it's my full time. So we're putting in those hours, you know. So if you haven't already, I'm on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast. Catch me on IG just for a personal touch. TikTok, YouTube. I'm gonna really be cranking out long form content. So if you love long form content, stick with me on YouTube. Go to my live section of my page and also the video section of my page. That's when you will find. I also do shorts, but when you're on my page, make sure to go to my live section, because the lives is really where I do my interviews, and I also do webinar style strategic videos, which I'm going to be doing with whiteboards and everything. So please catch me on all those platforms and also all those sections here in YouTube. But otherwise, remember, like we always say, we are not here just to survive. We are here to thrive. And from my heart to yours, know that I love you, know that I care. And until next time, peace.